Greetings from McGee Middle School. We hope this edition of the Berlin Public Schools Monthly Communication finds you healthy and in good spirits. I'm Principal Salvatore Urso, here to open our report on the important topic of supporting McGee students to improve their reading skills. As you're aware, reading is an essential skill that has a positive impact on those who are fortunate enough to do it well. Effective readers demonstrate strong concentration, vocabulary, memory, critical, and analytic thinking skills. In addition, adults with poor literacy skills are 10 times more likely to live in poverty. As a result, you can imagine that our staff works extremely hard to require and inspire students to keep reading. During this segment, you'll hear about some of our efforts and challenges to develop and improve reading skills from students and staff at McGee. It's my pleasure to turn the program over to our school community members. Mrs. Lopez?
Well, last March was a huge scramble to put physical books in the hands of kids with what we thought was going to be a 2-week closure. And eventually we realized as it went longer that we needed access and we needed our students to have access to books. We were really fortunate in that Danielle Salina, our library media specialist here, had a grant or received and won a grant for $8,000 from Follett, so we were able to really increase the number of audiobooks and ebooks that we were able to send out to kids. So that really helped us have kids have access to books. In the fall, we also realized that while students still needed all audiobooks and ebooks, that really we needed to get physical books in their hands, and we also needed to prioritize how we were going to have kids really engage with books. And so independent reading and doing book talks and book clubs became critical for increasing student reading across the school.
So in 8th grade, one of the biggest things that we've worked on this year is learning how to persist. So for example, through the writing process, learning how to revise and making sure that our work is not done the first time that we put it down on paper. Practicing the skills that we need in order to find a more sophisticated, complex piece of writing by the time we're done in it to be high school ready. Finding and using resources that will help us to become more independent learners is also a huge part of rigor this year. We really want kids to be able to know where they can get their resources to be successful.
During this pandemic, I have pushed myself to read different genres that I normally wouldn't have read before. I normally really like to read fantasy, and I pushed myself to read something like realistic fiction.
During this pandemic year, I've been able to read more, meaning that I've opened my shelf up to more books and more types of books.
So one of the great things about when I came to Berlin was that they provided us a really nice book budget, as we call it. So we've been able to purchase a lot of new titles and a lot of diverse titles. So hopefully between this huge library center that we have and my personal classroom library, there are titles that every kid can access. And we've also been really fortunate to have the Zoom towers here. So when kids work in book clubs, for example, they can join Zoom breakout rooms and be able to collaborate, work and interact with each other to talk about what they read before they write about it, which has been really, really helpful. And there's just a lot of support here, especially at McGee. Even our librarian has been awesome, and she now puts out some themed monthly posters about, a theme for the month, like Black History Month or Women's History Month, and which titles we can pull to showcase to the kids that fall under that category, that we can suggest to them if they don't know what to read next. So there's a lot of different things and a lot of players that help to make the kids successful and to even make us teachers successful. So a lot of professional development, being able to access technology to make the kids more engaged has been awesome, especially because so much of our instruction has been online. So it's really just been a great opportunity to, one, join a district that has been so supportive, and also to see the kids learn and grow during such unprecedented times.
So we try to provide as many opportunities for kids to have books in their hands and reading here in school. So I start class every day having them read. I really get to know them as a reader, what they're interested in, recommend different books in the class. We also have books displayed all throughout the classroom, so they may gravitate towards a book that they are not typically interested in. And then they get to track their reading throughout the school year with a digital bookshelf. So they get to see their progress, how many books they're reading, and rate and review for other peers.
Well, to be honest, it's been hard during this pandemic, and some of the things that have been keeping up my spirit with reading is mostly like reading the books I enjoy. So read the one that you love.
I think that the reading has progressed by doing, smaller books to maybe chapter books. I've done books about fiction, nonfiction text, realistic fiction, mysteries, etc. I really like some of these books because they tell me like about people, and maybe the I Survived series about the Titanic, the World Trade Center, etc. I really like those. Those are my actual two favorite I Survived books because those were some really tragic events that happened. Over 5,000 people passed away through those events.
During this pandemic, reading has been a lot easier, and there's many ways that has been easier to read this year. I've gotten more free time. Online resources have also helped me improve in my reading because personally I like reading online than by hand because it's just nicer because you can also they can read it for you, so you don't actually have to read. And I've improved a lot this year, and I think it is mostly because of those online resources and even these paper ones. And I think I've found more books that I'm more interested this year than I was last year.
Well, this year it was super important to look at the year from an entirely new perspective. We knew right away we would have to adjust our curriculum to prioritize skills and standards, and part of that also meant getting books into the hands of our students right away. Thanks to additional funding, to Destiny Flicks, our library media specialists, we had opportunities to get a whole bunch of really complex texts that were relevant and highly engaging into the hands of our students right away. We also moved our whole class novel earlier up into the year to really jumpstart the unit, and as a way to provide an opportunity to develop common language, refresh our memories for technical terms, and ultimately really provide some strategies to help students learn how to analyze and interact with the text. We also got them into book clubs right away as a means to help facilitate conversation, build collaboration in a digital way. So using tech tools like Padlet and Jamboards to help them really better articulate themselves. And as we did this, we understood that resources and providing as many models as we could would be imperative in order for them to know what we expect and what high school is going to expect. We really wanted to give as many models for both reading and writing. And by doing this, we definitely helped our students become more articulate, better communicators, both in written and verbally. And ultimately, as any year, our goal is to help our students become independent, to help them persevere and to persist, and to recognize that when they're challenged, it just means that we're giving them an opportunity to explore and engage and look at some pretty complicated issues through the text that we provide.
Well, in this pandemic year, I've progressed in my reading in a bunch of different ways. Well, I've progressed in communication when we did book clubs that we were able to talk about what we learned. And I was also progressing in being able to analyze and pull evidence from the text through my reading.
I've been able to progress through my reading by having a lot of free time, and with that free time, I was able to have more exposure towards different genres and different authors and different styles of writing.
We hope this short segment gave you a little better understanding of our efforts to support reading development at the middle school. Should you have any questions or comments, feel free to contact your child's reading teacher or the school, and we'd be happy to help. Finally, thank you to those who have contributed to our video. Have a great day.